Oh, there were lots of positives to take against West Brom. We're going to review all of those. Plus, we're looking at the Hemmings Statement, the Preston North End finances, and the January transfer window. Who do these three want at the top of their Christmas wish list? And we're also doing our November Player of the Month, so lots to get through. Let's jump straight into it then. We've, of course, got Ash, Harvey, and Etienne back with us. How are you, fellas? All good?
All good, mate. All good.
All right, let's jump straight into it then. Ash, the second half against West Brom was that the green shoots that actually Preston are still a good footballing side?
Yeah, 4-4-2, would have thought. I never heard anyone suggest that before. Actually, I was really impressed with the second half. Just showed forward impetus, and I think Keane made a big difference coming on. And Whiteman going off also probably had as much of an effect on the game as Keane coming on did. So, yeah, really impressed with it. Really happy.
Yeah, it's like Heckingbottom's been watching you three, demanding it in his videos. Let's have a look at some comments, shall we? Exactly that. Etienne, Keane coming on, changed the game. Just got to do better with the movement in the final third. First half was dreadful. Dylan says second half was way better. First off, really bad. KKF, Stefan, and Reese all really good. Dylan says Bowler can't start in that position though. Get Ockles off that left and KK on the right where he's best. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I feel like we're being, we played really well in the second half, but having some players in unnatural positions, it's just, it definitely doesn't work. Kesler-Hayden is way better on the right than he is on the left, and I can't wait for, someone to come out on the left and replace him. Once those kind of profiles are able to play in their natural position, I just think we're going to get better and better.
Okay. Some other comments, Harvey. McCann should be given the armband. Thor looked much improved and should get a run of games. And how bad is Ockles if recovering Potts got on as a winger before he'd stick with 4-4-2? Do you agree with all of those points?
Yes. I don't think you can pick out one of them that isn't bang on, to be honest. I think you look at McCann, he's just absolutely everywhere. You look at the last man tackle that stops probably a definite goal. I think Fedorsen looked really, really strong for me. Personally, I think he is one of the only midfielders that has the confidence to get forward and try and create something. So that fills me with a bit of confidence. And yeah, I think it's the Ockles shot every week, isn't it? I personally think he should get a run of games. But at the minute, it just doesn't ever seem like it's going to happen.
It was Ash that made those comments as well. So good job you agreed with them. Ash, lots of comments on Hughes, saying looks constantly weak, week in, week out. What's your view of that?
I think that the defence is overall it's a little shaky. He's probably took the brunt of it, and he does look to have slowed down a lot. And I think that's a lot of the problem we have is no pace. So when balls are getting played in behind, the defence just looks a shambles. So I think left side of defence really needs improving soon.
Reece scored again, Etienne, and we can't take away the quality of the goal. Again, it's will be there in the highlights at the end of the season on the scoreboards. But does his goals mask his overall performance? Is he still crap?
I mean, he's just. I think the word is a bit inconsistent, and he may have scored, but he denied a clear goal from McCann as well. And he did mention that in his press conference and said, I had to atone for it. But yeah, he's had 9 or 10 games to show us what he can do, and he's just not done it. He scored 2 in that time, and now Osmajic is back. It might provide a bit of competition, but he had a run of games where he didn't have competition, and it was all on him, and he didn't perform. So whilst it was a good goal. I thought it was a brilliant finish, but at the same time, he's got Osmajic and Keane breathing down his neck to start up front. He's going to have to start scoring a bit more consistently for me.
Okay. Harvey, last week we started to show some criticisms of Heckingbottom. This week, the reverse of that. Can we actually put a lot more praise on his name for how he changed that in the second half?
I don't think a lot more. I just think it's because a lot of the stick that he was given, probably including myself, was I think uncalled for. But I do think the big question was on his tactics, substitutions. The way he saw out games. I think West Brom is just a good example of being able to learn from that. I think, obviously, like Ash said, the complete tactical switch, give Preston a chance in the game. Obviously, switching it to a more like a flat system. I think giving Reece that support, which he hasn't had in the previous 9 or 10 games, definitely helped. And I think that's where his goals come from. So, obviously, I've not been impressed with him in tactical wise in the last recent weeks, but I will give him his praise for the way he changed the game.
Okay. All right, we'll have a look at the Sheffield Wednesday game in a second. Before that, next week on Monday, 9:45, join us live on YouTube, as these three will be taking your questions. We always put the questions from your tweets to them, but next week we're doing a special live edition of this to review the Sheffield Wednesday game. So join us for that 9:45 next Monday evening. Also this week, then we've had some commentary, Ash, from the Hemmings family. They've responded to some of the open criticisms from the fans. What did you make of the statement that was put out last week, which I read? It essentially says, it's essentially a boss saying, take it to the next meeting and we'll listen to it then.
Yeah, so they did that, and I thought that was quite good to hear that they were going to listen. The original letter that was sent to them, I won't say everything I think on that, but parts of it were good, parts of it weren't great. But what's more concerning is they've come out with the information they've come out with today, and the post they put out today, which is essentially, it looks like it's ghostwritten by Ridsdale again, and it just looks like they're trying to preempt the fact that we're not going to be able to sign on some of the players, and people are going to go on freeze again, and that pretty much we've got nothing to spend in January without selling people. Which is a shambles in itself. I think the mismanagement is clear to see from Ridsdale, and something needs to happen there. I'm Hemmings. I'm happy with Hemmings. I like him. Craig seems decent. He seems to care a bit, but he needs to step up and get rid of the fella that's holding us back.
They'll always come in and save Preston STN, won't they? If they're in crisis, the Hemmings family, no one will say a bad word about them. But it was published only hours before we've gone on air tonight with our recording. What have you made from the bones of what you've been able to pick out from the financial publication?
Well, they seem really pleased that we've only managed to lose 9 million this year, and as much as it has gone up, we've turned over our biggest revenue. It's still a bit worrying, and the fact that they've had to pump in 11 million, which I imagine we're going to have to pay back at some point, just to keep the club afloat, it's a bit scary. I don't like being in this precarious financial situation where we can't go out and spend in January without letting players go. We got no players with value, so we're going to be selling for pennies, and the mismanagement as well. Some ridiculous signings in the summer. So, as much as there are positives that you can clearly see Ridsdale is trying to highlight, and I read a BBC article as well saying they're hinting that we might be able to spend in the January, but I just can't see it because we're still losing a lot of money. We're still probably right at the bottom compared to the rest of the league when it comes to that revenue. It's just, it's still really worrying for me.
Yeah. Harvey, what's your take?
Yeah, Etienne's got it nail on head there. It's clearly a statement that tries to say, we've lost a lot of money, but we've not lost as much as last year, so it's much better. Because the clubs, the main thing with Preston hierarchy, like I said, I do like Craig Hemmings. However, it is just a job of keep the club afloat, and that's it. Which I just think is just really dull, for the club as a whole. I'm aware, not everybody's got money to spend left, right, and centre, but I think again it's mismanagement. It's spending loads of money on players, not playing them, not having any players to sell, running players out of contracts. I do think it is just very, very, very poor. And like Ash said, it is time for a bit of change from the hierarchy. Okay.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. And of course, if you're watching this and you're connected to Mr. Ridsdale, if you're watching this yourself, we'd love to have you on here, and you can come and face these three and talk to us about how pleased you are with the finances. We'd love that. Wouldn't we, Ash?
Yeah. I do you know, I could talk about it for hours. We've seen that before, but just it really frustrates me. Actually, there is a photo that floats about every time about Craig and Peter, and it's at a pre-season game, and it's my mum, and she's having it looks like she's bollocking him, and everyone always like makes a joke out of it. But I think if I had the opportunity to stand next to it right now, Ridsdale will be getting both barrels because I've about had enough.
Okay. Maybe don't come on yet, or if you are coming on, we'll have to give Ash. We'll give Ash the week off then.
Yeah.
Right, you're off to Sheffield then this weekend. Heckingbottom's back in Sheffield. Of course, he's going to get a very warm reception from Wednesday fans. Here's the team that you started against West Brom. Etienne, for you, what team would you rock up to Hillsborough with?
Probably the team that we played in the second half.
Yeah,
don't need Whiteman in there. Just throw all the players that we had on in the second half. Play the way we did. We'll actually give Sheffield Wednesday a game. They can be a really tricky side. Danny Roll is very good at switching up the game as well. So Heckingbottom needs to be alert. He needs to be aware of the game. If their game is changing, we should adapt to that, not just try and play our rigid structure. But yeah, I want to see Keane in that team, and I want to see Whiteman out of it.
4-4-2 away from home, Harvey. Is this a first away win then?
Well, fingers crossed. Like Etienne said, Sheffield Wednesday are a side quite in form at the minute. They set up well. Danny Rowe clearly has his ideas of how they want them to play. And I think you have to look at the bigger picture. You have to look at your last game, which is something that Heckingbottom says he's always looking back on, always trying to build on. And what you need to do is get the weaker areas out, as in Whiteman, and realise that you probably are much more attacking side going forward, and you might actually have a chance to pick up some 3 points.
In terms of relegation, and none of you have said so far that you're concerned about it, and from when I watch Preston, neither am I. Ash, the results from the other teams, certainly this weekend, and would now the league starting to sort out, do you even have greater confidence that Preston will survive? For example, I'm talking about Derby sinking, Oxford sinking, Plymouth themselves sinking, Luton and Coventry, I think, worse than you. Do you have a greater sense that you will be absolutely fine?
Yeah, I think if you look at those teams that are perhaps struggling at the minute, I struggle to see us doing worse than 3 of them. I think there is going to be at least 3 of them below us. Early season, I was hoping mid to upper mid table, but I think realistically we've got to just aim for 12th at this point, and that's going to be kind of where we should be at. I think January, I feel like Heckingbottom's seen what he's seen, and he's had enough for some of the players. I actually think he's going to try and get rid of quite a few in January, and we'll try and bring some in. I've heard that he's looking at a striker as priority, which is a bit odd for me because it would be defence, unless they know that Reece is going. So I think it's interesting to see where it goes, but I wouldn't be concerned that we'll finish down in the bottom 3.
No, absolutely. I don't think so either. Okay, it is January transfer then we come and turn our attention to now. Etienne, we're writing our list for each club. So Preston North End Christmas list. What's I know where this is going to go, but we'll ask you anyway. What's number 1 priority for Preston fans?
Centre back, left centre back, and then left back, and then the striker. If it's priority for a striker, unless Reece is going and he's gone in January, I don't know why we're going for that. Push that until the final day of the transfer window where we might be able to get a Premier League loan. Focus on a centre back.
Okay, Harvey.
Left back, centre back, and then honestly, I know this sounds mental, but I would look at a goalkeeper. I just think I've seen enough of Woodman this season. I can't stand to watch him another game. If it was up to me, I would, based off just West Brom, I would genuinely play Cornell for the rest of the season. I just think Woodman just looks a shambles. He looks lost. Can't come for crosses. He can't seem to defend his box, command his line, do any of the simple basics for a keeper. So sort the defence out, and then a goalkeeper is definitely where I'd be looking.
Okay. How did Cornell do for all of you, by the way?
I thought he was very good, actually.
Couldn't do anything, I don't think, for that. He could have maybe committed a bit more, but it was a great finish by Carlin Grant. So.
Yeah,
it was a good goal. Yeah. Okay. Ash, what about you?
going to echo everybody else. Left side of defence, Louis Barry as well, please, if we can. We seem. It may sound stupid, right? But I feel like we've got a really good relationship with Villa, and the fact that we got Kessler-Hayden playing on the left, I think, could benefit us because they could both work down that left side, and that could help Villa for the future. Whether or not it's realistic, I don't know. Send Bowler back for me and try and get him.
Okay. Finally, November is now over. So we need to ask for your November Player of the Month. If you can find one that's impressed, who gets it for you? Harvey, start us off.
It's McCann for me. I feel like it's either McCann or Kesler-Hayden every month at this rate.
It is.
Yeah, but there's no really other standouts to me. I think just McCann. I think his overall game has been much improved. You know, he's getting more forward on the ball. You know, he's trying to create stuff, and on top of that, he's just absolutely everywhere. And I don't think so far there's been a fault in him this season. So he gets it for me.
Okay, Ash.
Di Cornell simply by virtue of not being Freddie Woodman. Yeah. Probably is Kesler-Hayden again for me. He's looked solid every game. He runs to the point where he can't walk anymore. So I think you've got to give credit for that. And echo what Harvey said about McCann again. But yeah, I think probably Kesler-Hayden for me.
Okay, Etienne.
I've only had one name in my head the entire podcast, and that's been Sam Greenwood. I honestly think he's been quite impressive. Maybe on par with McCann. I don't want to say McCann again because we all know he's excellent. But Sam Greenwood is definitely living up to the hype that he had at Leeds for me. I would activate that buyout clause just because he's a young player and we can sell him on for profit if he carries on. But he's been way more impressive than he was at Middlesbrough. He's getting some, if he hadn't scored against Derby, we would have lost that, and it probably would have been the worst game I've ever watched in my life. And he assisted Reece for the goal. He's a live wire, he's creative, and he's been really good this month.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you very much. It is our mission to review every single Preston North End game this season, so we haven't done the Stoke game. Let's quickly do it in 10 seconds each. Ash?
What was Woodman doing? That's it. That's all that happened in that game. Freddie Woodman thought we were playing rugby. So,
somebody said, I can't remember if it was you who tweeted it that said this is the first time he's actually come and used his hands all game, and it typically it's
I don't think I was
outside the area.
That's my tweet because it wasn't about the first time he touched it. So
Etienne. Reflections on Stoke.
What are you doing in the first half? Woodman, what are you doing in the second half? Boring.
Yeah. Harvey, was it worse than the Derby game? Because I mean,
No, I think Woodman's red card at least gives you something to laugh at. Whereas Derby game, you're just sitting there for 90 minutes thinking you can't wait to go home. Yeah. So it ends.
Okay. Yeah, it's very rare that a team cheer their own red card or their own player being sent off, but you could see a palpable. Thank God we don't have to see him again for a while. The Preston fans, we are being harsh, aren't we? But we only reflect what people are saying. Right, you lot, thank you very much. We'll see you next week. Don't forget we are live next Monday, 9:45. We're reviewing the Sheffield Wednesday game. We've got these three back with us to give us their thoughts. Hopefully you'll join us for that. Thank you very much. Drop us a comment and a like. And we'll see you in 7 days' time. Enjoy your trip to Hillsborough, you lot. See you next week.
See you next week.